Well, commissioners,
Ladies and gentlemen, I've started recording.
victims advocates, we're into what, April? We should know well and good if they got
That grant thing.
yeah.
We'll never get any follow-up there.
Should we ask?
Council doesn't care, and they don't want any.
I can't. Don't get all mean girl on me. I'm saying shit isn't. Do you remember the time? It was March or February, wasn't it?
They couldn't wait. I mean, council couldn't wait to pass it.
God, you're gonna be a sour ass. I know I asked this before. Evan's like, another place is in Charter City, so are you in favor or against it? I know Evan's straight. Evan's right. I can't place
Hey, Mark. Hey, Mark.
Oh, yes, yes, Cheney or whatever. Yes.
Demonstrating on it, and one's giving
At least it's selling them to
he
kids.
would absorb the other one.
Make it so kids don't get
What
it.
he was, makes it work for what the new owners want to do out there, but also for this guy that sold it. But it allows them.
We'll figure it out.
So as long as they're in agreement,
So that's
and then it's up to them to go.
Maybe right here.
Yeah.
He was in a room of what matters now.
That's what it's the one that's actually pretty easy. And the planning commission, going back and forth, and finally came to an agreement. That all
They passed it.
you guys are in agreement, that's all I need to hear.
And the only thing we do is divide it in half, and then their agreements are separate with their recorder, their deed.
We got an affidavit from the other neighbor giving what she would get to
Right.
one guy, so he could trade it out.
Okay.
So they got all their ducks in a row. But this can only be a second read.
Right.
I don't know that. Well, she can't. She's gonna preside over
The
the
21st? Yeah.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be easier to say everything else? It's up to the mayor to arrange for those periods of time when guys won't be available. Longer. But
I was thinking of it a few minutes ago, but I was pretty sure.
Which team are you on?
I'm on your team.
No, you're not. You change teams all the time. It drives me nuts.
He doesn't have a problem with it, so.
I don't know. The first two times he didn't, so. Rolling.
And then just stop that.
I was gonna turn into Aaron if I could. That sounds like an
2-minute warning. My student texted me.
I know.
I think they. He was gonna crash.
Had 3 steps to it today.
No, you didn't. No, you're fine. Sound of anticipation. Calling that a story.
Good evening, everyone. I call to order this meeting of Marion City Council on April 14th, 2025. And we have with us tonight Pastor Steve Easter from the NAS. He will lead us in the invocation and then stay standing.
That's great. Jesus, so much to thank you for. We're grateful for your blessings, and thank you for this week especially. And it's a week that changed the world. We're grateful for the light that we find in you and the love that you show to us. Thank you for the opportunity that we have to live in Marion. We're grateful for our mayor and administration. Thank you for the city council. We've got a lot of things to celebrate, of some victories that have been won along the way, but at the same time, a ton of challenges that still lie ahead. So I pray that you'll grant wisdom and unity, specifically to our council, that tonight will be effective and productive and good for them and good for the people of Marion. We recognize tonight, and if we're going to get this thing right, we got to have your help. So we ask for it, and we pray all these things in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I guess we should. I'm so excited to get your name right, Pastor, that I skipped the roll call. Let's start with the roll call.
Mr. Barr?
Present.
Mr. Ratliff?
Present.
Mr. Schauber?
Here.
Ms. Lang?
Present.
Mr. T. Smith?
Here.
Mr. Prater?
Here.
Mr. R. Smith?
Present.
Mr. Rollins?
Present.
Mr. Neff?
Here.
Mrs. Stoneburner?
Present. Okay, we'll move on to the summary proceedings from March 24th. Mr. Neff,
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
a motion to approve the minutes, and I see Mr. Rollins, I saw your hand first, so I'll give you the second there.
Second. Yep.
Thank you.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Mr. Schauber?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes.
Okay, you accept the proceeding? Okay,
That's just
thank you.
a computer search reference on there.
All right. Under old business, item number 1, ordinance 2025-032.
Ordinance vacating part of a public alley 13 feet in width along the east and south sides of lot 8867 in the Marion Osgood addition to the city of Marion as recorded in the plat book 3, page 104, Marion County, state of Ohio, and retaining permanent easement rights.
Mr. Barr, this comes from your committee?
Yeah, this come out of Streets and Sewer, move to a recommendation to approve. This is the second reading. We have a public hearing slated for 4/28. We're glad to answer any questions if anybody has any. Second reading.
There we go, leave it at second reading. Item number 2. Ordinance 2025-036.
Ordinance amending zoning code 1139.01, use regulations in OI and industrial district to include opioid treatment programs and office-based opioid treatment facilities.
Mr. Prater, this is from your committee. I see this is also scheduled for the public hearing.
Yep, this comes out of the Zoning and Annexation Committee. This is the second reading, and will be a public hearing on the 4/28. Is there anybody have any questions about this? This is about the change in amending the zoning code for opioid treatment centers. Go ahead.
Evelyn Warren.
Evelyn, we're on this regional planning. This would take the treatment facilities and place them in the office, institutional apartment districts, which are also where medical offices and things are permitted.
Thank you.
Okay, so no more, nobody else has anything else to say about this? This is the second reading.
Okay, thank you. Item number 3, resolution 2025-010.
Resolution confirming the appointment by the mayor of Benjamin Moore as a member of the Marion City Planning Commission.
I was, Mayor isn't here tonight,
Is
but,
Mr. Moore here?
I'm gonna speak for him.
Oh, you're,
I recommended Ben, for this job, and, he has quite a good resume. I've worked with him and I've known him for years, and I would highly recommend him for this position.
wonderful.
Mr. Moore, come up.
Mr. Moore, would you like to come up to the podium and just introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name's Ben Moore. Ron, obviously, we worked together, spoke to me about this position. Super excited about Marion. I live here in the city on Euler Avenue in the 6th Ward. 10-year employee of Marion City Schools, been a Marion native, lived here my whole life. Just excited to get kind of involved in what the city's doing government-wise, and excited to help out. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions or anything, Mr. Moore?
Sean was gonna ask a whole lot.
I was just gonna give him a hard time. I've known Ben for some time, and he's a great member of this community, and I too think he would be a great fit for the position.
Okay.
Let's just spin on
I'll make a motion, we approve.
We have a motion to approve from Mr. Smith and a second from Mr. Rupp.
Do we have to waive the,
Rule 44.
yeah, I'd like to,
Okay,
I'd like to waive the 3 reading rule, please.
go for that.
I'll second that.
Thank you. And now I still need a second for
Mr. Prater did.
Yeah.
Mr. Prater. Okay, thank you. All right, let's go ahead and do the first Rule 44.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
No.
Mr. Schauber?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff, did you have questions or anything?
Well, I don't see which this has been a requirement of the city council in the past, where a resume was submitted. And again, that's been a requirement in the past, and, you know, a couple people up here seem to know him on a first name basis, some of us don't, and, you know, I think we should all have the same opportunity.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go with the minority in this case then, and hold off on the next step.
Can you provide that, Mr. Moore?
Yeah, I sent the mayor some things he requested.
Right.
A little bit.
There's a thing in here somewhere.
But I'll be happy to
Okay,
put together a resume.
thank you very much.
I just want you to come back.
All right, item number 4, resolution 2025-011.
Resolution confirming the appointment by the mayor of Bob Boyer to serve as a 5th member of the Board of Directors of the Marion Port Authority.
Mr. Prater?
I don't think Bob's here, but the mayor wanted me to, he was the one that recommended Bob. I've personally known Bob all my life. And the mayor recommended him for this appointment, so.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Morales?
Evelyn Morales. I'm also the staff to the Port Authority. And so this particular position will be one that is jointly appointed by the city as well as the county commissioners. So they each get 2 members, and then this is the joint person. So just so that you know, if you pass it, it still goes on to the commissioners.
Okay, so
Mr. Shaw?
it goes on to the commissioners after we're done. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Morales. Questions of council? Mr. Ratliff?
Is this a paid position? And he is a member of media, correct?
No.
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 No?
He works in Kingston,
Okay, he's not a writer for anyone?
not to my knowledge, no. I went to church with him growing up, that's how I know.
He used to be on council, I believe, years
Yes.
ago. And then he owned the Mueller building. That's how I first got to know him back about a decade at this point. So he was always interested in downtown.
I may be wrong, I was thinking he was a staff writer for either Crawford County Now or Marion County Now.
That would be different.
Well, Mr. Ratliff, I believe he has, I know he's spoken to me once about something like that. Not a big newspaper or anything, but, yeah, he's mentioned that to me.
Yeah, I don't know about it being a non-paid, with it being I thought this was a paid position to be on there, and I was definitely against, having a member of media appointed to a paid position. I just think that's a fundamental, conflict. I'm not sure. I had my mind set that it was, so I have to.
No.
I'm assuming you want a resume for that too.
Nice.
First reading and
Just make this
request,
first reading.
request a resume.
Okay, thank you. All right,
Yes, we're taking something out here.
number 5.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got a typo, where it says item number 6, folks, item 5. Ordinance 2025-041.
I thought we were going through. I must have pulled something out of there. Ordinance vacating part of a 16.5-foot alley lying west of lots 43 and 44 and east of lots 53 and 54. Original plat of the village, now city of Marion, plat book 1, page 3, and retaining permanent easement rights.
Mr. Barr?
Come out of Streets and Sewers Committee with a 3-0 recommendation to approve. Evelyn provided a staff report. Both the neighbors there seem to be on the same page. It's right up by the overpass behind Johnson Supply, Shovel City, across the road from there, right? So there's a lot of graffiti and things like that on the cut through, so I think that's why they moved forward with this. There's a public hearing set for May 12th, so we believe this is the first reading. Unless there's any questions.
Any questions from council or the public? Alrighty, first reading and set this, the public hearing is set for May 12th. Item number, item 6, yeah. Item 6, ordinance 2025-042.
Ordinance to authorize the auditor to appropriate the necessary funds and accept reimbursement funds from the Nature Works program through the State of Ohio's Department of Natural Resources and declaring an emergency.
Ms. Lang?
This came out of Finance Committee with a 3-0 recommendation to approve. It's phase 2 of Lincoln Park to extend the trail. If anybody has any questions, always here she can answer that. This is a reimbursement to continue that project.
Questions from the council or from the public? Mr. Barr?
I'll make a motion to suspend the 3 readings.
Motion to suspend the 3 readings rule.
Second.
And a second from Mr. Smith. Okay.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Mr. Schauber?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Net?
Yes.
Motion carries. Mr. Barr?
Motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt from Mr. Barr and a second from Mr. Thaddeus Smith. Any questions or discussion from council or from the hearing, from the public? All right.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Mr. Schauber?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Net?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. Item number 7, ordinance 2025-043.
Ordinance making adjustments to appropriations for liability insurance for the year ending December 31st, 2025.
Ms. Lang?
This came out of Finance Committee with a 3-0 recommendation, and this is just correcting the funds for 2025. And Ms. Courtwright is here if anybody has any questions.
This is just cleaning up what we had last year, what we estimated what the liability insurance would be, so this is just mostly reductions. There's a couple that we increased, and I would ask if you could suspend the rules. That'll de-appropriate the funds from those lines for those budgets.
Thank you. Mr. Rollins?
I'll make a motion to suspend the 3 reading rule.
All right. Mr. Prater, you have the second?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins and Mr. Prater. Discussion or questions from the rest of council? All right.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Mr. Schauber?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes.
Okay, motion to suspend carries. Mr. Rollins, your hand was up first?
Go ahead. Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, Mr. Rollins. Mr. R. Smith has a second. Any other discussion of any kind? All right.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Mr. Schauber?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. Item number 8, ordinance 2025-044.
Ordinance making adjustments to appropriations for the year ending December 31st, 2025.
Ms. Lang again.
This also came out of Finance Committee with a 3-0 recommendation to approve. Again, this is just cleaning up, and getting rid of balances that are not needed.
That's correct.
Ms. Courtwright here to answer any questions.
And again, if you could suspend the rules, that would be fantastic. It just gets the budget cleaned up.
Thank you.
Motion to suspend then?
Motion to suspend from Mr. Ratliff. And Ms. Lang has the second. Okay.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Mr. Schauber?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries unanimously. Yes. Sure.
Name me Craig, 365 Silver Street. I was curious why it wasn't passed out of the Finance Committee with an emergency resolution, because it was just last Monday and the emergency resolution was never discussed, and I was just kind of wondering why.
It's appropriations and the emergency clause, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so we just decided between last Monday and now that it was an emergency.
I'm just saying
I understand it doesn't need one, but I mean, if it was an if it's an emergency today, it was probably an emergency last Monday?
No.
No, it became an emergency in the past week?
What do you mean emergency?
Well, didn't we just add an emergency, suspend the rules is what we did.
Suspend the rules.
If we could suspend the rules, so we don't get 3 readings, I'm sorry, I keep saying emergency. We're not taking public hearing on it after tonight, but we didn't need to suspend it. All of a sudden,
Is there a question on any of the ones
yes,
on here?
I haven't had a chance to go through every single.
I have it right here.
Okay, but that doesn't give me any time to.
Do you want me to go over the items that are on here? Does that help?
No, it doesn't help because no one knows what the actual budget was. We haven't had time, I guess, the public hasn't had time, a week, it came out of committee for a week, we haven't had time to look at it. I had no idea that it was going to be suspended, rules were going to be suspended
Well,
tonight.
it's appropriation adjustment, so
That's-
if you want to.
That's fine, I just wanted to.
I understand
wait
what
2
means,
weeks.
but it's really not a major crisis, but if you want to.
I believe we are in a major crisis, but that's neither here nor there. I just was kind of wondering how we're doing rules, like last week it was okay, and now we need to just get it passed. So I'm trying to figure out why those things are, and I'm just gonna go write it down. That's all.
Mr. Shepherd?
For giggles, since you offered, could you run down, so, my,
We'll go through them.
yeah, my question is on the debit, interest debit
Yeah.
principal, those are
Just clean up.
Those are payments or?
Yeah, we've
on
done our
the-
obligation payments.
Okay, that's,
So, we've been going through the Fund 302, which I've said many times. I'm down to 2021. 23's been cleaned up, 22's been cleaned up, 21 is in the process. I'm just waiting on a couple of things I'm working on to clean up. That should probably be done by the next meeting. But based on the debt schedule that we operate on, and we had some adjustments we worked on in 21 when we went through this last audit, so there's a little bit cleaned up for that. I mean, less than $20. The bigger, at least for the debt interest payments, they're hitting the actual funds. 302, there's a little bit there. I mean, those are mostly just cleanup. The other big one is streets has capital equipment that I'm reducing the budget by $38,216. The two items that they budgeted for in 2025 came in under budget. I'm just wiping that budget out. I'd like to do that as soon as possible because I don't want people to spend that money. Obviously, every purchase order comes to me first.
That makes sense.
So that comes to me every time. That's why I said absolutely go through these. There really isn't anything that's really that pressing, but I'll watch obviously any transfers that come to me. We had some additional costs that went for the airport, but that was grant and funded 90% from the feds, 5 state, 5 local. And then there's a little bit of adjustment for the general fund, but it's balanced by moving some money up from the salaries from the IT vacancy this year. We do have some reimbursements to kind of go through there. I'm just appropriating that when I did the original budget. But again, it would only be as we need, put $500 on the line just in case.
and
Yes.
follow up, so on the request amount, when that number is
That is-
bracketed, that is you're
If it's-
reducing,
Correct.
you're de-appropriating.
Yep.
So on the New World balance, when that number is bracketed, that means that line had a negative
It had
amount?
165,000, so for instance, the second line down, I'm reducing 500, and that line has $165,000. So when I do this, then there'll still be $165,070.85.
Right, so go down to, I don't know, $441.42 and $22,741. Those are bracketed. Does that mean
Yes,
that
because
that account
line
was
is
negative?
We made the first payment, and this will balance out what we need to for the encumbered, because it's already encumbered at this
Right.
point, so we need to do an increase, and that will balance that back out.
And so, in the past, when we were getting audits, they would really ding us
They
for
will
seeing
ding
this?
you if you cross years with that amount.
Okay.
We're in the year, we just,
Okay.
as purchase orders have been opened, when purchase orders are posted, those are posted above me. I didn't see that someone had put, sometimes when multiple purchase orders get put in the system, I'd be really careful, especially on these, because sometimes they can go over budget. So again, at the end of the month, I'm going through and checking those to make sure those are items that we need to keep. If it's over budget and I don't have cash for it, then I will send them a message to do a PO reduction.
So, in the $22,741, that's not the case that someone spent more than what their budget
No, that's a debt
amount?
payment. We gotta
Okay.
pay it, we got a general obligation,
So-
it's encumbered. First half of the payment, will go out here in May, second payment is in November. So we haven't made any payments yet, but those purchase orders have been open for the entire year. That is something that we, haven't always done prior to, me being in this role. Sometimes on our debt, we process the payments and didn't have a purchase order in place because we can just do it, it's an electronic transfer. So doing it through a purchase order just helps us to keep everything in line and make sure
Mhm.
everything that's
Right.
hitting our books is hitting the bank statements and part of the bank reconciliation, evaluation that we went through. That's one thing we found, and that's one of the things I wanted to make sure happened. Now that the purchase orders are open, checking the debt schedules, making sure those match up.
So as long as we're not overwriting budget line items and spending more than?
No, that, I
okay.
mean, the
Okay.
purchase
'Cause
order will
we've
go
done that a
through
lot in
because
the past.
others, when they post anything out there, they have that level, I do not. So as I've gone through and looked at them, I'm like, oh, that one's over.
I need to increase that purchase order, because yes, we are gonna have to pay that. Before now, we haven't made any payment, so right now it's a purchase order that's holding up, that's saying that's negative.
Okay.
But before we get that paid in May, so I would like to get that taken care of before we make that payment. But we got some time.
Thank you. Any other questions, from council or the public? Ms. Lang?
I make a motion to adopt.
We have a motion to adopt. And a second from Mr. Arsenault.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Mr. Schauber?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. Item number 9, ordinance 2025-045.
Ordinance designating depositories of public monies for the city of Marion and declaring an emergency.
Ms. Lang?
This came out of finance with a 3-0 recommendation. Basically, it is just increasing the percentages that are allowed, for funds in each bank. Mr. Reese is here to explain anything further, if anybody has any questions.
Mr. Ratliff? question?
Just a point of clarification, it came out of committee with a 2-1, because I did not vote to send it out of committee. I don't think it's ready. I still don't believe so, and I just want to make that and that the next one that says 2-1 should say 3-0.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions for the treasurer?
We should leave this at a first reading.
We'll leave it as first read then.
If I could then ask one question.
Yes, Mr. Ratliff.
So this is the same question I had in committee, and I'll ask it again tonight because I don't really get an answer. If you look at section 1 and section 2, section 1 outlines how much money by percent that we can have in certain banks. And it says the Fahey Bank, Union Bank, Premier Bank, Huntington Bank, and First Citizens Bank. And if you add up all those percentages, it's going to equal 100% of the money. But then section 2 goes on to say that that applications to serve as depositories of the interim funds of this city have been received from the following, from the finance institutions referred to below, all of which are hereby determined to be eligible institutions for the deposit of such monies. And we have listed Chase Bank, Fifth Third Bank, PNC Bank on there as eligible to put interim monies in, but we do not have them listed in section 1. And if we were to put money in any of those banks, it would take our percentages out of whack, and we would be out of compliance with section 1 if we put it into banks in section 2 that aren't listed in section 1.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes, this was discussed in committee, and the section 1 that Mr. Ratliff is referring to, those are active monies, where section 2 is referring to interim monies. So it's two separate monies that we're talking about.
Now, if you remember in committee, the treasurer said if he wanted to put $50,000 in Chase Bank, he could.
Correct, if it was deemed interim monies. Not active, not needed for day-to-day operational expenses for the city. Correct.
Anything further from council? And Mr. Schauber?
Yeah, so about a month ago, this kind of has something to do with this. I requested meeting minutes for all the Treasury Investment Board meetings starting January 24 to current, and also requested fund balances for the interim fund accounts. I've yet to receive that. I think the numbers, if we compare year to year, should make us be a little concerned. I guess what I'm saying is I would like to have that information.
Who's responsible for that? Ms. McGinnis, do you keep the minutes for the
I'm
TIP?
working on a few of them, which is why I haven't written them issues
Okay.
yet.
You have a time frame for Mr. Schauber?
I can have them done by the end of this week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
With the fund balances?
The fund balances should be available, I can get those as well.
First read?
Ms. Lane? Is it first read?
I guess we'll leave this as the first read.
Okay, now, this may be for the type of.
That's actual 10.
Okay, so we are at actually item number 10. What is 2025-046?
Ordinance making additional appropriations in the general fund to provide for training for the treasurer for the year ending December 31st, 2025. Casey provided me with an update of that ordinance, which I left on the table for you at the beginning of the meeting.
Just so you know that I found areas in the salaries and benefits that I could trim to keep our general fund balanced. I know we wanted to add potentially $3,000 to the general fund budget, but I found some non-salary that we could pull from. Now that the first quarter is over, I budget for people who potentially will have opt-out. They elect to not take our insurance, and they get an amount quarterly, and those three accounts had nothing paid out in March, which would lead me to believe that we would have a little bit of additional funds to take care of that, and if we don't use it, then obviously it just sits there, if he doesn't need all of it.
What funds?
Those are all general fund. Those are all general fund. I think I took it from 1006, which was senior center, 1015, or 1021, which is city hall, and
1011.
111, which was income tax.
Thank you.
Ms. Courtwright, I don't know if you can answer this, or maybe Mr. Reese can, but who's gonna do the training? Have we decided that? Is it gonna be New World, or is it recommended that the internal auditor actually do that training? Are these funds necessary if the internal auditor is gonna do the training? And is that gonna be acceptable to you, Mr. Reese?
Yeah, the internal, I believe, the internal auditor, the training.
Okay, and you're comfortable with that?
I hope so. I don't know yet. I'm not in the training yet.
But we will
But,
use it.
yeah, that's the
Only
route
if
we're
necessary.
going right now.
I think we'll try that avenue. Obviously, New World knows how their system works, or it should work, but it doesn't always necessarily, in the real world, function always that way. So obviously, we'd like to try to train someone internally now that we've gone through the process.
Because she's been doing it, right? And she has this down, so we
Yep.
prefer her to do the training on it, right?
If it doesn't work out for that situation, then we feel we need additional training to have the $3,000 allocated. If not, we will leave that money unspent.
Thank you. Ms. Brett?
So again, a question, I guess, for the auditor first. When do you suspect this training could start?
As soon as possible. I mean, the internal auditor is looking at her schedule to find an appropriate time.
And has there been any training since committee on Monday?
Not since committee, no.
Okay, has there been any training before committee on Monday?
Yes.
And how did that go?
We were sitting for about an hour and a half before it ended. And honestly, I had walked out of the room for a few minutes, and I came back and Tommy was no longer in the room. So I don't know what happened, I just know that it ended.
Okay, was it over?
We had scheduled, I think, 3 hours for it.
Okay, is there a reason it ended early?
That I don't know.
Okay, Mr. Treasurer, is there a reason that the training ended early?
Yeah, I walked out of the room. Hey, you can't train me if I'm not there.
Correct. So are you going to be in the room the next time that they want to train you?
Yes,
Okay. And was there any issue while you walked out of the room?
personal.
Okay.
Mr. Schummer?
Yeah, in the committee, we spent 3 hours and we didn't get a whole lot done, so I don't want to have a repeat tonight. But this all has came about through a recommendation from Veritas in their exit report. What conversations went on to implement this recommendation? That the auditor, what role they're filling, switching with the treasurer and the treasurer doing another role, what the auditor was doing. Was there any discussion, or was it just scheduled training, tell the other elected official they're going to do this? How did that come about? Because I think that's the root cause, the root problem.
There was discussion between Veritas and my office about the procedures that we currently handle versus the procedures that Tommy does right now.
Okay.
Based on the role of the treasurer as a second set of eyes for the auditor's office, it was determined that the roles needed to be switched because the portion that he's doing right now is more of a function that the auditor's office should do on a daily basis.
Okay.
As opposed to the bank reconciliation module that should be done a little bit less frequently. It can be done on a daily basis as well, but it can be done less frequently, just as a double check to verify that everything we've been doing is correct.
Okay, and that makes sense, and I want to make sure that I understand what you said. That was a conversation between yourself, your office, the auditor's office,
Correct.
and Veritas.
Correct.
When did the conversation go to the other elected official, the treasurer of the city of Marion?
Not until after the report was issued.
And how did that conversation go? Because there's been many meetings, even the 3-hour meeting we had, several individuals said we cannot tell another elected official what to do. And we've even told people to stay out of offices for that reason. So was there a constructive conversation to switch these roles? Or is it as simple as the internal auditor went to an elected official and said, this used to be my job, I'm not doing it anymore, now you need to do it and I'll train you? Because if that's the case, that's a problem.
I'm not sure what was said during that conversation, but I do know that she went to him and had a conversation about switching roles. I was not in the room for that conversation, so I don't know how it went, but I do know that that conversation took place.
I think that switching roles and of this nature, even if it's simple, and what should be done, there should have been a bigger conversation with everyone involved instead of sending the internal auditor to do this. Natural reaction would be, I'm the elected official and you can't tell me what to do. This is what I've always done, this is what I've been trained to do. That's a natural reaction. I think we failed on the part of communicating and everyone getting on board with this change.
Ms. Lang?
Veritas did meet with Mr. Reese, when they were actually doing the forensic audit, to see exactly what it was that he does compared to what the auditor's office does. And it was noted at that time that he was not doing a complete reconciliation. The only thing he is reconciling are disbursements. He is not reconciling deposits. And that is part of his role to do receipt and disbursement. After the report came out, Mr. Reese, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe you did have a conversation with Veritas regarding the report. And what the recommendations were.
So, and maybe I'm not articulating my point, but so now we're saying Veritas tells the elected official what to do.
No, that's,
The point is, I think that all the the administration, mayor, the auditor and the treasurer should have all sat down and had a conversation and saying, these roles have been this way in the past, they're incorrect, the better way, the more efficient way is to do it this way, and I guarantee you would have got more buy-in, and we wouldn't have had a 3-hour meeting, and it wouldn't have went as disastrous as it did last week. It was embarrassing last week to even be considered a council member.
So sometimes change is not easy, but I don't think we are switching roles. I think we are correcting what the roles are supposed to be. And no, I don't think anybody's telling anybody what to do other than the Ohio Revised Code, which we've all taken an oath to follow. And the Ohio Revised Code is very specific with what the treasurer is supposed to do, and that is to reconcile both money in and money out. So if you look at the way that it's been done, and this is where council people are not that involved with day-to-day operations of this, and we would have no idea how reconciliations are done on the third floor because we're not involved with it day-to-day. But you really can't logically have the internal auditor who's supposed to audit your books also be the person that reconciles your books, because that is just a disaster waiting to happen. And so you are setting up a situation to where if anything were to go wrong, fingers would go straight to her, or if there's a mistake, no one is going to catch that because you have the same person that's looking at it twice. It only makes sense that you would have two people look at that, and you would have one person do the reconciliation and another person audit that. And that's the only way that it makes sense. That's what the Ohio Revised Code says. And we shouldn't have this much resistance with just doing what we're supposed to do.
Mr. Barr.
Can't say I disagree with either one of you, but I think moving forward, we're planning on doing the training and doing what's required. Am I right, Mr. Reese? That we're going to get the training and try to do the other portion of what the ORC says?
At this time, yes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Reese. I'll make a motion to suspend the 3 readings. Well, I think Mr. Ralph has something else.
So looking at, and again, this was a verbal motion that then made it on paper, and it was only a motion to add $3,000. So we have an ordinance tonight that also is de-appropriating 3 different line items to come up with that $3,000 so that we're not really taking money out of the bottom line, we're just shifting money around. But I'm going to assume that we would need a motion to change this to then have the de-appropriations included as well. I'd look for affirmation from the law director, but that's my assumption that we would need to do.
Well, to be fair, in the committee, you said you didn't care.
And I just wanted it to be balanced.
Correct.
I just did what I was told to do.
So I will then make a motion to amend, to de-appropriate the 3 designated line items that equal $3,000, as well as the appropriation line item of the $3,000.
Mr. Rollins.
Second.
We have a motion to amend and a second from Mr. Rollins. Mr. Ratliff.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Mr. Schauber?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
yes,
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes.
Motion to amend carries.
Now I'll make a motion to suspend the 3 readings.
You gotta let me read it.
After Mr. Pollak reads it.
Ordinance making additional appropriations in the general fund to provide for training for the city treasurer for the year ending December 31st, 2025, as amended.
And I already had you for the first, so it looks like Mr. T. Smith has the second
Yes.
for the motion to suspend 3 readings. You're right.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Mr. Schauber?
Yes.
Ms. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes.
Okay, it's been suspended. That rule. Mr. Barr?
Motion to adopt.
Motion to adopt from Mr. Barr, and I saw Mr. R. Smith at the second first. Okay, when you're ready.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Ratliff?
Yes.
Mr. Schauber?
Yes.
Mrs. Lang?
Yes.
Mr. T. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Prater?
Yes.
Mr. R. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes.
Mr. Neff?
Yes.
Motion carries. With that, we come to matters not on the agenda. Oh, I'm sorry. Mr.
I'm sorry,
Mr. Reese.
I might be wrong on item 9 about the ordinance to regulate deposit. I think you said that's what the first reading, I thought the first reading was last week.
No, that was the committee.
That is not on the agenda. Mr. Schauber.
Yeah, I wanted, the mayor's on vacation, which is good for him, but I wanted to talk about, a couple emails that he sent out. One was asking the thoughts of council for getting new microphones, but since he's not here, can't really have that discussion. And the other one was, I believe it was from the mayor through Mr. Pollock about City Hall being closed to the public after council meetings. But again, he's not here to discuss that.
Yeah, 365 Silver Street. Mr. Schauber, since you mentioned it, there was an email that went out about closing. Now, scuttlebutt, you know how rumors go around Marion. I heard that we want to sort of usher everyone out of the building immediately after council meeting.
So that's not what I took from the email. The email was in depth about adding security, having the screeners screen during council meetings. And then there was a paragraph that I believe it was Mr. Collins' opinion, if I'm not mistaken, that he thought that as soon as council meetings are over, that City Hall's closed to the public.
Close to the public.
Yes.
Okay, so I guess he's not here, but I can go ahead and throw the questions out there. Are we gonna have like a buffer, so where we can say bye to the people that we only see once a week at City Hall? I mean, are we gonna have a minute to talk to our representatives, or are we gonna have to do that outside in the middle of winter? Or when it's 100 degrees outside at 9 o'clock without 100% humidity kicking? We're not allowed to stand in the lobby and, I mean, most of you guys have stuff going on during the day, so it's not like we can schedule meetings with you to meet with you. I'm sure you have lives outside of city council too, so it's not like we can meet with you in the evenings, so we might be able to catch you here for a few minutes, or catch you in the lobby for a few minutes, or I know we all kind of gather in the parking lot too, but again, rain, snow, Ohio weather, who knows? So I kind of feel like, especially I know Mr. Spears does some interviews after council meetings pretty regularly, and it almost seems like we're trying to suppress speech, maybe suppress the media's access to council or to ask questions. So with everything that we have going on right now, I might say that this is a slippery slope. I think the screening people coming in the door, I don't think that's a bad idea. I think we need to talk about the cost associated with it, and it should be attached to council's budget if that's the way we're gonna do it. But now I have no problem with safety. I do have a problem with people getting ushered out of the building at the end of the night and not being allowed to address our representatives. Because it's not just you. I mean, there's all these people over here that we might want to speak to as well. So, I'll make sure everybody knows about this and you guys try to pass it.
Ms. Lang?
Part of the discussion, I think, has been, our clerk is running into overtime, and we do not have overtime in the budget, and we don't plan on putting overtime into the budget. He can't leave the building until everybody is out of the building. So it's a matter of
Mr. Buck?
Well, and I will say, and I can't speak to it for certain, but I'm sure there's gonna be a buffer there. Mr. Pollock has to close up, put everything up there. I don't see why everything couldn't be taken care of by the time he does all that to be able to exit out. But we're also running into, he's getting into comp time and overtime, am I correct? So we're trying to figure out how to tighten that. And I think the screening is a good idea, because for multiple reasons, I don't wanna give examples necessarily on the record.
Exactly.
Okay.
One question I would have then is that we're going to budget for someone to screen, which I don't have a problem being screened and going in public buildings. I'm kind of curious if we're gonna put restraints on like recording devices and stuff then. I mean, again, slippery slope. You're shaking your head, but we're all going to court to give depositions for violation of civil rights. So, I mean, it's not unheard of around here. So I don't think that that's a bad idea, but we're gonna pay somebody to guard the gate, but we can't kick up some overtime for him to.
Well, I think that's safety for the courts, for everybody in the building for the following day as well. This shouldn't all be on council's budget. Anybody could come in at any time.
If we're changing, well, they screen people during the day,
Yeah.
so.
I would love to have this conversation with you later, if that's.
Well, I mean, if it's something we're talking about doing though, and honestly, I don't wanna have private conversations with you anymore. I'm just gonna say that with all due respect.
Well, we can ask anybody else to come here, but I don't want to give any deviants
Well, no, I
ideas
don't
of
want
what
anybody
could
to have
happen.
any ideas either, but I mean, we screen people during the day. That comes out of city hall budget. So if we're gonna change the rules and, I mean, and again, I don't have a problem with safety. But you know, temporary safety or temporary liberty for a little safety to Benjamin Franklin and all that kind of stuff. So if we're willing to spend money on safety, but we're not willing to spend money to give people access to their representatives. And I mean, you know, that's the way this.
You pointed out quite often, we have, it's on that back page.
Oh,
Everybody's email, everybody's
you guys
phone
don't
number,
answer me.
everybody's address.
You guys don't answer me and I'm not coming to
You
your house.
haven't responded to, you haven't emailed me for anything.
I have emailed you, and the times that I did, you responded. But the other people, Mr. Smith has made a big deal about Mr. Schopper not answering emails. I've emailed Mr. Smith, and he's never answered me one time.
I've never seen an email from you.
I will be glad to forward it to you tomorrow morning.
Sure.
Actually, I'll do it while I'm sitting right here. So, you know, I get safety, but liberty's right up there. Slippery slope. See y'all first.
Yes. And then I want to come to the clerk for his input.
Terry Tackett, I'm with the WGH Media. I got a question. In the prior 34 years, has the clerk ever got overtime before for this?
Yeah, we had to go back and budget for overtime.
Do you mean, Mr. Tackett, did you mean for the time spent after meetings?
Yeah.
Good question. Mr. Pollock, did you want to answer?
I wanted to explain that the previous clerk, in conversations I had with her, she made it very clear to me when I was on council that she was responsible for what happened in this building when she unlocked that door. And I kind of got concerned a couple of months ago when I was upstairs in the office after everybody left. There was a noise out in the hallway, and I could have sworn I saw somebody upstairs. I went, checked the bathrooms and everything else, and the more I got to thinking about it, that door right now is unlocked and will remain unlocked until I or Chief McDonald go downstairs and lock it at the end of this meeting. There's nobody down there. There's nobody monitoring the cameras to see who's coming in and who's coming out. I mean, there's no telling what we may walk into or what somebody might bring in past that metal detector and use in the courts next week, or you know, find something sitting in the hallway upstairs. I mean, we don't know. And that was part of the reason that system was put in. And I've just been concerned because, you know, right now we're all sitting kind of unprotected. There's nobody down there watching anything.
Mr. Ratner, or somebody right in front of me.
A couple of things is that, you know, I believe that the mayor's in charge of City Hall, and I don't know if council even has input on this, or if it's our decision at all. But, you know, I just think we need to be mindful of the fact of who owns the building. And so, you know, I think it's a little, I'll just use the word disrespectful of a public that owns the building that we say, get out of your own building because we're ready to leave. And, the other thing about, safety, and, I'm all for safety, but, I don't know why we think we're entitled to more safety than we provide to our children that are in school. And so I don't know why we sit up here and feel that we are any more vulnerable than anybody else. We chose to run for these jobs, and we chose to serve the public. And if we don't trust the public, then we shouldn't have run for the job.
That's great. Naomi Craig, 365 Silver Street. There's a full-on police department downstairs for security. Just saying.
Yes.
Just for information, talking with the chief of police, the three majors, we are considering some changes to security. Nothing's set in stone. One of the things we're considering is not unlocking the doors until 6 o'clock so that we can screen everybody that comes in, and then leaving the doors unlocked for 15 minutes after the gavel is struck to end the meeting. That's just what we're considering right now.
Thank you. Mr. Schauber?
So by leaving it unlocked 15 minutes after the gavel, that allows no one to come in. That's not saying the people that are here have to leave.
No, he meant
No.
at the end of the meeting.
Okay.
We would hope we could get it cleared by 15 minutes after the meeting.
So,
because we're gonna pay somebody's gonna pay for somebody to sit downstairs while the meetings are going on.
okay, so your guys' idea is to have the screeners, and as soon as the president of council gavels the meeting to conclusion, we're on a clock for 15 minutes to exit the building.
That's correct. That's one of the considerations right now.
Okay, so as an elected official, as a council person, how can I have any meeting time with any constituents or and use the city hall, the people's building?
We would
have to do it in 15 minutes?
Like I said, this is just.
Yeah, I know.
Just discussion right now, so before we would want input from council.
Okay, good. I'm glad we're having this conversation then. So when the screeners were first implemented, that was by a Supreme Court case, I believe, for the courts to have security, if I'm not mistaken. And at that time, it was determined that council didn't need screeners or didn't want them. I don't know whichever way or both. And if we did want them, it would have to come out of our budget during that time. But I believe the plan was, since council opted not to have the screeners and pay for it out of their budget, that the bailiffs cleared the city hall and the courtrooms prior to the business hours. Is that not going to happen anymore? Or we're going to have add a layer of redundancy?
That I can't.
That's been the.
Yeah, you're looking at me, I have no idea what the.
Oh,
what
I'm
the
just looking
bailiffs-
that way.
What the bailiffs do or don't do. I think that we could all agree that, having the screeners screen for weapons before this meeting would be appropriate. And that is the main focus of the discussion that the mayor and the safety director and I have had. We'll do whatever is decided to help make that happen.
Okay. Other matters? Yes.
I have a night news report and a little bit of update about training. So as you know, our 6-month pilot program for night news is nearing completion. We've evaluated the night service to the Marion community and discovered that there's a need to expand this service to Monday through Friday and add additional hours on Saturday. The preliminary results of the study that we are conducting with Nelson Nygaard has shown that there's a need for evening hours.
They're going to be coming to city council, I believe it's May 27th. It's the Tuesday night after Memorial Day, and presenting their findings. We have been gathering names of people who call for after-hours transit. I've got 3 of my people here tonight. I didn't ask them to come, they just came. And the other day I took a call. The lady works at Graphic Packaging, and she has a ride to work, but needs a ride home at 11 p.m. Monday through Friday. Our developing plan is to expand our hours from 4 p.m. to midnight, Monday through Friday. This would cover the gap from when we close at 4 o'clock. And then on Saturday, we'll have hours from 9 a.m. to midnight. That's the tentative plan. We've been working on this a little bit, and we just wanted to let you guys know. ODOT has a requirement to give the public a 30-day notice before we do this, when we're expanding. So we will have to put some notices on the bus and social media, just to let others know that we're going to be doing this. Our plan is to start the service with 1 bus and then possibly expand as needed. We'll use the staff that we currently have and may eventually need to hire 1 additional full-time person and possibly a couple of part-time people. Casey and I have worked on this quite a bit. We went over our salaries and benefits, and we're slightly under budget for the year with that. Our goal is to expand our hours and stay within budget. Also, there's been a lot of discussion about fares and night moves. We're planning to lower that fare when we do this from $5 to $2. This will allow people going to and from work to be able to afford our services. And then for March, we had a total of 61 riders, 40 riders at $5, and 21 riders used our $10 all-night fare. We're also working on an advertising campaign for all of the buses, not just night moves. We've adjusted that a little bit. Instead of just putting it on 1 bus, we're going to encompass all of that.
Mr. Shepherd? Sure. You're expanding the services and you're referring it to the night moves. So does that mean it's still the loop, or that structure is changing
So
as
we're
well?
going to change that structure. Marion is used to demand service.
So you're going to that?
Right. So we're
Okay.
going to go to demand service, where you will have to call 24 hours in advance to schedule your ride.
Okay.
Now, the night moves driver still has a phone, and they can take a message. You can leave a message if you need. But to guarantee your ride,
It's
you
24
definitely
hours.
need to call 24 hours in advance. So if you're going to work, most people know when they're going. We get calls all the time for that. And, they'll just schedule it ahead of time. We will take some last minute, subject to availability.
Okay, a couple questions. Who is Nelson, I believe you said Nygaard?
Nelson Nygaard. So Nelson Nygaard is a consulting firm that ODOT has hired to do a study for us to determine, do we need evening hours?
Okay, so we didn't put in any money for that?
Correct. So in December, the middle of December, I received an email from ODOT that said, we have some marketing dollars and some, they call it TDP, so Transit Development Plan, dollars available. And I immediately sent an email back that we were interested in that because it's grant money, and they picked us to do one of the studies, and I've been working with them since January on this. And they're very excited about all of the data that they've collected. We've done a survey, if you remember the survey that came out. We've had nearly 350 people submit information for that. And they're putting all that data together. Also using cell phone data to track where people drive after hours. They've been conducting interviews with multiple employment agencies like Whirlpool and the hospital, prison, you know, the health department, all of the ones, you know, and then also they've gathered a lot of community input too, with Talking Marion Matters and the Chamber of Commerce, you know, other community leaders.
Okay, and then a couple, just to go through your numbers. You said in March there were 61 riders. And we operate Friday, Saturday, Sunday, correct?
Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Okay, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So, well, I've counted Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but in that there were 13 operational days?
Oh, in March. I haven't figured it out, but sure.
So that would, if, again, I was doing math on paper here, that would be about 4.6 riders per day. And it runs for how many hours?
So right now we're running from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. But this is going to open this up to everyone, right? Not just on the loop. This is, you know, we're going to talk about this and let our riders know that we can schedule rides. And also, I would say that the $5 sometimes, you know, one of my dispatchers took a call the other day, I was in the room, and somebody asked how much it was, and they said $5, and they said, no, we'll schedule it, or we'll do something else. So, not that $5 is above, you know, a taxi ride or anything like that, but public transit, we're just going to lower this back down.
Okay, so, I mean, again, to just go by your numbers, at 6 hours, it would be well under one person an hour. So we have whole hours that not one person rides the bus.
And with night moves, it's moving, right? This service is going to be a little bit different. It's demand. So they're going to be parked at transit, not running 75 miles a night. And when, you know, we'll have a schedule. And I'm certain that it will fill up quickly.
Right, and so what I get out of this, and, you know, maybe I'm just different, is that we're changing our focus of night moves. Night moves started out as a route that took you to different establishments in the evening.
And it will still do that.
And it seems like by the Nelson Nygaard study that the focus needs to be not on like a party bus, but like an actual bus that provides service to people to give transportation to and from work, to and from the store, and that kind of stuff. And that's what
So I would say that by doing night moves, by launching that pilot program, we've discovered that yes, we need some evening service for work and other errands. But I will say that we still have a following, and there are still going to be people who use it for that purpose.
Okay. And so, you know, I have been, I'll use the word against this program. This purpose here is much more palatable than what the original purpose was. And I think I talked to, I know I talked to Tacey at one point in the parking lot. I think I talked to you about that the need is greater than just running people around the bars.
Well, and I think that you know, for March, 40 of those riders are just at $5. So those 40 riders are people going back and forth to work. So we can see that there's, you know, that extra need, right? And, you know, we've evaluated that, and along with this study, which, you know, I hope everybody will be here on May 27th to hear their presentation, because they've done a great job with pulling it all together, and they're excited to share with the Marion community.
Okay, and I just want to reiterate that I think if this was the focus from the start, you would have gotten less pushback from different members of council, because, you know, this is a service that we need. And even if you lose money providing a service that you need, you know, not everything makes money and not everything breaks even. And that's why that we collect tax dollars too, so that we can provide service to people. And so, you know, I mean, again, I'm really glad and excited that the focus is changing, because now we're actually filling a need that,
For sure.
that is here.
Yeah, and we might not have known about this right away, you know, if we didn't do the other program. You know, it takes stepping into something and learning. We're learning as we go, you know, it's.
Just learn.
What are the perimeters gonna be? I mean, is it gonna go to the city limits? Is it gonna go a little past the city limits?
So as of right
What's the
now, we.
criteria perimeter?
And that's part of the thing that Nelson Nygaard is working on as well, to see where people are going.
Okay.
I would say right now, this is gonna be within the city limits, but if somebody needs to go to Silverline or, you know, outside a little bit, obviously that's what this, program is gonna be for. Yeah, we will do that.
Mr. Rollins?
Yeah, a couple questions. So, a little confused. So will you still be running the Night Moves loop on Thursday, Friday, and Saturdays?
Not the loop, no. We're gonna be changing that, fixed deviated route to demand service.
So, are we gonna be getting into like all the Night Moves bus stop signs that were put up and all of
So-
that? Did the business owners pay for those? Were those all provided by the city?
Those were within our transit budget, and we have determined that we're probably gonna take down the time signs, obviously, but we might leave up the larger signs at the businesses, just to let people know that there is a bus available.
There's basically two signs. One's pretty much just Night Moves, phone number, book a ride, and the second, smaller sign, is the stop number. So we'll probably move the stop numbers. And just keep the advertising to let people know if they miss it.
And we'll have some new cards printed that will show us, you know, show people how to book a ride. That's something that Nelson Nygaard is also working on with us, is, you know, how to get the word out there, marketing with this.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. Did you make the determination not to continue the loop because of this new program, or did you feel like the program wasn't as successful as you wanted it to be? And do you think we should have done it in summer versus winter?
So, I know Mayor talked about, you know, continuing this program. I wouldn't say that it wasn't successful. I would say that it was successful because now it's taught us what we need, right? Along with the study. What was the other part of your question?
I wonder if we would have had a lot more riders had we started this, say now, and ran it through a summer rather than in the
And we
dead
are
of winter.
seeing some, you know, additional calls and stuff for the summer. You know, people call and they want to book a ride.
Sure.
But I think the biggest thing is, being on the loop, it's difficult to schedule a ride because, you know, she's got to keep active,
Mhm.
keep going. And we're not seeing a lot of, people don't use, fixed deviated service here in Marion. They're used to the demand service where they call and schedule a ride. Or they call it dial a ride.
Yep.
That's an official title.
Ms. London?
Well, this, you might have said it already and I missed it. So they can purchase a pass, a monthly pass, and this will cover day and evening?
So yes, you will be able to purchase a pass, which at this time, we haven't been able to do that with our software. Different price, you know, things like that. So they will be able to use their monthly pass for the bus in the evening.
And anytime during the day or in the evening?
Correct.
Mr. Shepherd?
Yeah, my last question, is this going to go in part of our long-term transportation plan? Okay, we're working on that, or we've reviewed that, and, because all the things that you've just discovered this year and in '24
So we
are
have
in that
a
plan.
mobility manager, Jim Oliver, and he is working on the coordinated transportation plan. He has to do this for ODOT. It has to be done every, I think it's 2 years. And with that, this was one of the suggestions the last 2 years ago to do evening, to expand
So
that.
we knew about it, so. And one more thing, I see there's a commissioner here. Are we expanding into the county? Is this part of that, or are those two different animals?
So I would say, you know, it's all kind of a.
Yeah,
a big
it's
thing.
all together, and we
Correct.
have to have a plan.
Right. We haven't determined when that will happen, but it's still definitely on the radar.
Okay.
Is this a question?
I have a question, yeah, about the bus. Sam Craig, 365 Silver Street. Okay, first, the pilot program should have ended March 3rd. And when the pilot program didn't end March 3rd, we were told that it wasn't a pilot program. Now, that's recorded. We can go back and listen to it. So, I don't know, like, I misunderstand things. 6 months, if it started in October, November, December, January, February, March, that's 6 months. We're rolling into May now. But I don't know, that's one of the things. Like, either you're part of the lie or you're lying, or being lied to. And I don't understand why you guys won't do something about that. I don't get it. Because they told us it was a pilot program, it wasn't a pilot program, now we're back to calling it a pilot program. Whatever. I don't appreciate being lied to, you guys must like it better than I do. As far as Nelson Nygaard goes, when this survey first came out, I took the survey. And I noticed Nelson Nygaard on there, and I'm like, well, who the heck is Nelson Nygaard? I looked him up, their transportation planning, whatever. Well, I emailed Mr. Bodine and Ms. Welch and asked them, who the heck is Nelson Nygaard? Like, why are they taking our transit information? We were never told anything about Nelson Nygaard. They told me they had no clue who Nelson Nygaard was. And of course, I have those emails through that. So, they've been talking, did she say, what, December, January? Been going back and forth about this plan to extend night service. I mean, they've got a whole plan put together, it sounds like. Gonna lower fares and how it's gonna travel and where it's gonna travel. Why is this is the first that any of us have heard about it in April? Like, if this has been in the works for 90 days, don't you guys feel as council members you should have been on it? No response. So, I saw part of us running in the middle of the day the other day, Monday, took video of it so I could prove it. 10 a.m., I think, from
It was going to the garage to have repairs done.
West South Mill?
Yep.
Okay,
Or the garage.
I don't know, okay. So it was coming up Birch Road, it just
That's the
didn't.
way they come up.
Okay, well.
From the central garage.
Okay, well, thank you.
I saw your video.
Thank you for answering, well, you follow me on Facebook, wow. Thank you for answering my question. Two of those people, this is my last point on Party Bus, two of those people in the month of March were not going to work. They were my husband and I who were riding home from the bar.
Any other matters? Hearing none, we'll go on to.
Oh, sorry. I just want to expand on the budget piece. I just want to full disclosure on that. So we have been working on the budget, and we have budgeted what we project to collect revenue-wise based on the grants that we receive and the expenses that we have. So what Ms. Welch said was accurate. Now remember, prior to me coming, that fund balance was one of the ones that was negative. At the end of 2023, it was 400 and some change. I increased, we increased our transfers within the budget that we prepared in 2024. I couldn't move money because that was not part of the 2024 budget process. So that budget ended up, that cash fund ended up 330,000 in the hole. We're still working to clean that up, but based on the revenue we projected, based on the grant funds that we received, we believe that we'll whittle that down. Last year we were under by 100K, so I'm kind of watching that carefully. But I do want to point out one of the items, and I don't know if this is directly related to the Doge stuff, but we do have a grant that we get from the feds that we have not gotten. It's a smaller piece of the budget, so the ODOT funding comes in two pieces. We have an operating side and a capital maintenance side. The capital maintenance side pays for repairs to the vehicles and the charges that come from the central garage to do that work. It's about $80,000, $87,000. We're 3/4 of the way into the grant, and we haven't heard, I mean, we've asked multiple times. I know that Julie has asked Mr. Oliver and various people, so we're watching that carefully. So I just wanted to point that out, that there's about $87,000, we're kind of watching it. We haven't billed for it, we should get it, the Geek Tunnels will get it. And as we get ready to prepare the third quarter invoice, I'll go through and calculate what that amount is that we spent year-to-date, just so that I can give you that number next month when I come back, just to keep you abreast of that information. So we're watching it carefully. She is living within the budget, but based on what the state told us we were going to get, it's not quite all there. So we're looking at that and watching it carefully. So just wanted to give that information to you as well.
So on that 87,000, so how late are we receiving those funds?
That's a July to June, we're on July to June fiscal.
So we're in a fiscal
We're third quarter in.
We're third quarter in and we have not
Received it. We haven't received it. I have an invoice for it, but I haven't done the details to it, so I will probably be asking for, those reports come from Central Garage. And because the money wasn't quite there, I've just been kind of putting those invoices, the amounts aside. I haven't really dove into them, so just want to give you a heads up.
This is going longer than I would
No,
hope. We have invoices for 3/4 of the fiscal year.
So what happens is Central Garage sends me the work orders of the work that they've done for the maintenance people that work on our buses.
And that includes
So
fuel or
labor and
just
materials and the fuel.
Okay.
All gets charged out of there, so that part of it is separate, and we haven't billed for that. So when we get that money, but like I said, by next month, I'll bring you the amount that we spent through March. So just to have that, number.
And you're saying that you're keeping track, like a running total of what you spent, and you're not
So, yeah,
exceeded the amount? Okay.
We typically barely spend all of it. We're usually just a little under, but they said, oh, well, you can bill it to your operating money and then go back and
Reimburse,
redo it.
yeah.
It's messy though.
Right, it is.
Because you don't get as much out of your operating money as you do under capital maintenance. So I don't want to go back and try to undo and redo. So I'm just keeping that a separate. I just wanted to give you a point out.
As long as we're tracking, because I've always wondered how your management's scheduling skills must be amazing, because you're keeping the bus staffed. You're doing a 70-mile-a-day loop whenever the evening route's going, and fuel increases as the transit hasn't came back for an appropriation for fuel.
No, we're not. And the fuel budget it has not been in, and she hasn't done any transfers, which we'll get to here shortly. There's not been any transfers to the fuel line. Her overtime is at 57%, but we've also gone through the winter. People are sick in the winter, and so people are filling in for other people, drivers are out, that kind of thing.
So you're at 57% of your overtime budgeted amount, and we're into the middle of April.
Yeah, so we gotta get to, the
We're
end of.
working on that. I've hired multiple people, and that's, part of it.
And that's where you have, we have some flexibility, because if you have vacancies, you're not spending the money on salaries and
Right.
benefits. And those are all salaries and benefits and can be, those could be interchanged if necessary, but we haven't changed them, and she's still within her budget.
Okay.
So I just wanted to point that out.
And to Casey's point, the capital maintenance, this is for all transits in the state of Ohio,
Yeah,
not just
not
us,
just us.
right? And it's being held up at the federal level. They have assured us that we are going to get it. It's already budgeted in and everything, but they just haven't released the funds yet, so.
As long as we got a running total, and we're not exceeding
right.
what we're expecting, then
I just wanted
I
to
think
point it
that's
out.
okay.
Yes.
Terry Tackett, WGH. I just wanted to ask a follow-up question. Why for 34 years was it okay to do the interviews, and now we get 15 minutes?
I don't think anything's been said in stone. They're just talking about some discussions on what they can do. Nothing's been,
It seems like that's the way they're gonna go.
I don't think we know till it all gets hashed out.
Anything else? Ms. Ratliff?
Just to even just go on that further, I think that this is going to limit media, and we don't hardly have any media here anyway. It's going to limit, as we've said, people's access to their representatives. And I just think that it's negative. And, and what we heard is the reason is because it's causing some overtime for the clerk. So let's just say it's causing 5 hours a week of overtime. And this is how government fixes problems. We are now going to look at scanning people when that they come in and paying a police officer 3-4 hours, ever how long that our meeting is, because we have a person that makes much less than a police officer get a little bit of overtime. And we are going to spend money to fix the problem. And, there's a saying that, if you think that government is the problem, wait till you see their solution. And, and I feel that that's what we're seeing here. And, meeting after meeting, we sit here and we see money going the wrong way. We spend money and we spend money and we spend money. And we can't keep going the way that we're going because the city treasury is not healthy. And none of us up here can sit here and say that it is. And unless we do something to rein in spending or to increase revenue, and we don't do a good job either way, we're going to see issues with our budget that's going to cause layoffs in the city. I've been up here a long time, and I have lived through layoffs in the city. I've seen the signs of it coming. By the end of next year, we will not have the same staffing that we do now if we don't make significant changes. And
Rein in our costs now. No one has specifically said anything to me about, just because it's still in conversations, but, obviously we'll talk about what the overtime would cost and security is gonna cost and look at, how much it's gonna cost us so that we can make sure that happens. There has been some overtime for the last clerk, but it's not been significant. So we can look at that.
It's just, we are just, I think it's a negative move for service to the public, and it's gonna cost more. So it's just a lose-lose all the way around. And again, the city's financial position is not healthy. And I don't think that we can stress that enough. And, we have to make significant, hard decisions before it's too late.
It's great.
Again, it's more of that rumor and fiddle that I just figured I would ask. I was told at the beginning of 2024 that our cash and investments was about $17,000. And now it's about 12 million. And about 2 million of that could be explained away by garbage trucks and a fire truck that we had ordered, I don't know, like 22 or something like that, and it didn't come in until 24. But Mr. Schauber, if you can get those numbers, I'd be interested in seeing them too, because like I said, the way rumors fly, but seeing now if the doors have been locked, Matt wouldn't have been able to come in. But I would be interested in seeing those numbers too, because if we have $3 million worth of vanished money, and again, this is just rumor, so, I guess if we can ever get the records, we can find out if it's fact or not. Everybody's been sitting here talking to this. Benjamin Franklin, those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. So my last thing would be, I'm planning on making a banner, and I'm going to have it hung on a building that I own, and I can guarantee that none of you are going to like what it says. But I was wondering if I could use the city logo on that banner. Mr. Russell, am I allowed to use the city logo on a banner to hang on the property?
I don't have the answer to that. I'm not the city administration's management expert advisor, so you'll have to ask the administration, and we'll go from there.
So, is it city property, the logo? Is it considered city property?
I don't have the answer. I can research it if the council person or mayor asks me to. I'll look into that.
but not if a citizen asks you to. I guess, okay, I've got the building at the corner of Oak and Silver, and I'm gonna put corruption this way, and I'm gonna point at City Hall and the county building, and I'm gonna put the city logo on it, because Mr. Smith has used it in his political campaign, which I'm sure is against the law. But I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to be sued first. So now, you know my intentions, and if there's a problem with that, you all have my email. Some of you answer me, some of you don't. But if the city is going to sue me over using the city logo, please let me know before I do it. Thank you.
Any other matters? Other matters? Yes.
This is the monthly report. Sorry. Thank you. Beginning of the month, last month, budget transfers are in there. Just so you know, the ordinance numbers reference the ordinance that we approved last month, and if there's a written word description, those are the ones I did, based on forms that you submitted to me to transfer funds between various lines. Just following the ordinance in January. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. Oh, I also, would it be better, I was on vacation last week, I would have done it by Thursday. Would it be better if I run this and submit it and then attach it to other matters, or do you like the hand printed copy? That's my other question.
I prefer printed.
Okay.
So
I do both sides, so it doesn't take up too many trees.
printed is okay, if I may?
Sure.
Has this been attached for, to our website or agenda?
No, that's why I was saying, I thought last week I would
Right,
have.
so that would be the only thing I would say is make sure, if this is for public consumption,
And then give you a hard
yes,
copy.
this needs to be in by noon on Thursday, the week before. But as far as,
Since we're just kind of getting into a groove of it, I just know that I'd make sure you have a copy of that first full board meeting, council meeting. But I will run the report the Thursday before, and get that to, or attached to the agenda.
Thank you. Any other matters? No? Let's move on to committees. Committees, Ms. Lang?
Nothing at this time.
That's a good one. Mr. Arsene Johnson, Economic Development. Mr. Smith? Committee meeting?
Oh, sorry, I was reading. No, nothing at this time.
I believe there's something coming,
You think so?
from regional planning.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten it yet, but I believe it's coming.
Okay, we'll do it.
I would like to request that you do have a job and economic development committee so that you can hear presentations of potential projects for the block grant.
Okay, very good. We'll do that. 6:30?
6:30?
will Can-Do be on the agenda?
I was going to come back on the agenda until we got something from them.
Okay, I just,
Mr. Neff, legislation, codes, and regulations.
Nothing at this time.
Mr. T. Smith.
Can we please bring up the city charter? It's supposed to be in legislation and codes. We've not had a discussion in some time. Can we please have a meeting?
6:35.
6:35? Mr. T. Smith?
Nothing at this time.
Okay. Mr. Ratliff?
I have nothing to call at this time.
Fourth Wednesday at 7 p.m.
Regional planning. And then Mr. Barr?
Nothing at this time.
And zoning and annexation is approved.
No, nothing at this time.
All right, Ms. Lane.
I have nothing at this time, but.
I'm looking at it. So, 6:40?
6:40.
Oh, wait.
All right.
What's the agenda?
I believe Zoe sent me a grant.
Stacy, what was the,
A grant, and Casey, what did you have?
I have an update on, the victim assistance that we didn't vote for in January. Additional grant, did get her grant money, so we have an updated amount for that. So we need to appropriate those. Put in the program.
I'm not talking about any program.
Thank you.
See it in the personal services. I'll check it, but I didn't see anything, Mr. Normal.
So,
It's okay, we can come back to
We'll
it.
come back and figure it out.
I was gonna say, we do have finance scheduled for 6:40, and, so, with that, we are adjourned, 8 o'clock.
Everybody else
Starting.
You don't know that? Oh, I'm so sorry.